All right, again, thank you everyone. Thank you again. My apologies. Could not, I had some technical difficulties here. Again, this is Dominic with JDM Tax Consulting. Today our webinar is will be focused on the IRS tax debt currently not collectible status. We'll cover this area of taxation and also whether your tax debt may be eligible for temporary non-collectible status. Um, Again, I do want to give some disclosure here. This is not legal or tax advice. If you need further assistance with your tax debt, feel free to give us a call at 904 204 7724. You can also visit us at www.jdmtaxconsulting.com. You can submit an inquiry directly from our website. Before we go into the webinar, let's review. Let me present to you the introduction about our firm. All right, thank you for watching our video introduction. I just want to reiterate about the different tax services we provide. We help individual taxpayer with individual tax preparation. If you need to file your taxes, feel free to reach out to us. We do business tax preparation as well as bookkeeping for small business, self-employed. If you run your business and you need someone to do your bookkeeping for you so that when it is time to file your tax, you don't have any issue with that. All your documents are ready. Your profit and loss statement or P&L statement are ready for the preparation of your tax, business tax, your receipts, and all your financial statement are organized. So reach out to us for that. We do also non-profit organizations. If you have a small non-profit organization and need to file Form 990 N, which is a e-post card, or Form 990 Easy, please reach out to us. We can help you with that. We do amended tax return. If you have filed a tax return and you forget to include some information on the tax return and you would like to amend the tax return to be properly in compliance with that tax return, you can reach out to us. We do also state income tax as well as sales and use tax filing, tax review and consultation. If you need to review you are under examination by the IRS and you want to review your tax return and get some consultation about it, you can reach out to us. If you have not filed taxes for many years and you would like to be in compliance, we can do on-file tax return. No matter how many years you have not filed, we can bring you in compliance. In addition to that, we help provide some of the services we help provide are penalty and interest abatement. If you have been imputed or charged penalty and interest, we can work with you and help you get some abatement, waiver of penalty, lien withdrawals. If you have received a lien notice, we can work with you to see if we can have the IRS withdraw or release the lien. We help with taxpayer with levy, audit representation. If you have received a notice of that you are being audited by the IRS and you need an annual agent to represent you, we are here. We can help you with audit representation, the IRS Fresh Start program, penalty abatement, payment plan, offer and compromise, and many more. Okay, if you need help to resolve a tax issue, whatever the issue may be, give us a call at 904 204 7724. Visit us at www.jdmtaxconsulting.com, or you can email us at taxhelp@jdmtaxconsulting.com. IRS currently not collectible CNC. Now, basically, you may be one of the taxpayer with IRS tax debt falling in the category of currently not collectible, or for short, CNC. Perhaps it may be time to get a break from the IRS, break from collection letters, break from collection, call annual agent or IRS agent calling you, such as notice, letters, and phone calls. If you are facing legit and verifiable financial hardship and you are unable to pay your taxes, you are experiencing medical issues or death in the family, and it causes some catastrophic financial hardship, your tax debt may be temporarily declared currently not collectible by the IRS. However, you have to apply for that status. If your tax debt declared currently not collectible, the IRS has determined that you are currently unable to pay your tax debt and has temporarily seized all collection activity as far as it is related to your tax obligation. What does it mean if your tax debt is declared currently not collectible, or CNC? You may have received letters from resolution companies about the tax debt may be eligible, that you may be eligible for currently not collectible status, but um, availability for very specific, the availability for that program, they may also tell you that it is very time limited, or you have a certain amount of time to call us within 10 days or call us within 30 days, because you may be eligible for currently not collectible status. First of all, these are companies trying to scare you to contact them. If it sounds too good to be true, most likely it is not true. Anything you receive in the mail or phone call or Facebook posting, wherever it may be, if it sound, even a person that meet with you face to face, if it is sound to be too good to be true, in your mind and your intelligent, your intellect, you are questioning the facts are questionable, it is most likely not true. What you have to understand is that tax debt determined to be currently not collectible at the IRS on discretion, and that there are no specific time allocated to tax debt being declared uncollectible. It is specifically based on ability to pay. For example, if you are facing a temporary financial hardship and the IRS sees no mean to collect, then it will temporarily stop the collection practice until financially your financial situation change. Basically, okay, why would the IRS try to collect if they know for fact that you are facing financial hardship and you are not going to pay? Because the thing you have to also understand is that when the IRS have to deploy resources to help collect taxes, and these resources involve individuals, people, and money. So they have to have employees assigned to the tax case to try to collect. But if there's substantial reason that you are going through a situation you cannot pay, it makes sense for them to just declare it uncollectible at this time until they are sure they can collect the tax. So more specifically, if you can substantiate your financial hardship and the IRS approve your cooperation, it will temporarily stop all activities relating to collection of the tax debt. However, the collection activities will resume once your financial situation progress or improve. Okay, so basically, there are two there are two key factors to the determination of CNC currently not collectible. A taxpayer must prove that there are financial hardships. The tax debt collection put them financially uh, at a position where life is become more hard, where the tax debt make it so difficult that you are unable to meet ends meet, and there are uh, and that you don't have the financial means to pay the tax debt. It is very vital to mention that IRM Section 5.16.1.2.9 as of September 18, 2018 state that if a hardship determination is verified, a levy cannot be issued or left in place to persuade a taxpayer to file. So in other words, if you have received a levy notice and you are able to prove to the IRS that you are not able to pay that tax debt, and you have the willingness, you have willingness to pay, but because of this financial hardship that you are experiencing, and if they are legit, they can be proven, they can be corroborated or substantiated, the IRS will put you on a non-collectible status. In that case, the levy would have to be removed at that point in time, because the levy will basically, what the levy will do, it will amplify, basically it will amplify your hardship, it will make it harder for you, because the levy is a transfer of your asset to the federal government. So if you are currently experiencing financial hardship, why would they levy your asset again to make it harder on you? So to be reasonable, the IRS is willing to put the collection practice on hold until your financial hardship is improved. So according to IRM Internal Revenue Manual uh, 5.16.1.1.1 as of September 18, 2018. The background of that is of this is that the Internal Revenue Service is granted the authority to determine that some accounts are currently not collectible, because it is fact that people go through situation, especially given the urgency that the country is facing that now with coronavirus and other things, hurricanes or tornadoes and things like that, homes are being destroyed. So these are some very tough financial hardship that taxpayers experience. So the Internal Revenue is granted that authority to determine that some accounts are definitely currently not collectible. So the IRS balances the potential for collection against costs and its ability to collect debt. Just as I mentioned before, resources, they have to hire employees, and they have to deploy other resources in order to collect the tax debt. In order to collect a tax debt, they know that in fact this tax debt currently is not collectible. So the decision to suspend collection action is made with awareness that the IRS also is charged with fair and equitable enforcement of the tax law. Taxpayers who may be eligible for CNC status. You might be questioning or whether you fall, if you have a tax debt, whether you fall into that category, or whether your tax debt may be eligible for currently not collectible status, or maybe you have a friend or family member, or your dad or your mom or your brother or sister, or even a neighbor or your friend. You might maybe they have a tax debt, and you may be questioning whether they fall into that category of taxpayers whose tax debt may fall into the category of correctly not currently not collectible. So I'm sharing with you right now a link. As you can see on the screen, you can visit that link for this manual, and then there are a lot of information there. You can visit that link. So the eligibility criteria for IRS currently not collectible as it relates to delinquent tax debt can be found from that manual. This chapter includes everything you should know about the IRS currently not collectible status, or CNC. However, if you like, I would like to point out that uh, you must demonstrate financial verifiable financial hardship, showing that after paying the reasonable living expenses, there are no room to deal with delinquent tax debt. I use the word reasonable here for living expenses because for taxpayers to be eligible, uh, for the IRS CNC, they must substantiate that serious economical hardship, and that the financial situation is not just some kind of inconvenience that you cause yourself, or living beyond your meaning, or getting things that you know for sure that you are not able to afford it. Per se, you go buy a BMW, you are paying $800 a month for BMW or Mercedes Benz or whatever the type of finance. You know for sure that you are not eligible, you cannot afford it financially, you are not able to, but you still went ahead and paying $800 a month for a car. Then why would you think that they would qualify you for currently not collectible status? So it has to be reasonable living expenses, and that is not just some kind of inconvenience that you impose upon yourself. IRS CNC currently not collectible income calculations. So the IRS revenue officer will use all positive value of income from the taxpayer's tax return or other source of income to determine the total positive income TPI of the taxpayer. So some of the most common income include in the calculations are wages, interest income, dividends, distributions from 401k, or whatever type of distribution, self-employment income on Schedule C, Schedule F income from farming, real estate income, and other source of income necessary for that purpose. All right, so basically wages and interest from 1099, wages from also form of income like W2 income or any other type of income you receive. The income will then be compared with the local and national standard of living expense, okay, to determine that whether you have a substantial financial hardship that that cause you not able to pay your tax debt. So these income calculations will be calculated, conducted by the IRS revenue officers. So there are four categories of um, living expenses standard. You have the national standard for food, clothing, and miscellaneous expenses. There is also the national standard for out-of-pocket health care expenses. There is local standard for housing and utilities, and local standards for transportation. Okay, here you can see, as you can see, these are some of the this is the national for 2020. This is the national allowable living expense standard, not nationally allowable living expense national standards in the United States for 2020. As you can see, for food for one person is 385, and then you can see the housing house. These are the items included in that calculation. What you pay for food, what you pay for housing, housekeeping, clothing, personal care product, and other miscellaneous items. So you can see these amounts are very reasonable, and the total amount for one person, as you can see here, is that in the 2020 allowable living expenses national standard, the total allowable living expense for one person nationally is $715, and that includes all the items: food, housekeeping supplies, clothing, and other wearing clothing related items, personal care products, and so forth, and miscellaneous. Um, if your household is two people, the amount would be 1,298 for three-person household. The amount would be 1,433, and for four individual, the amount would be $1,740. However, over four-person household, you would only add an additional $378 for each person, not an additional 715 as it relates to one person household. The local living standards are very specific to each location. For example, each county and the state have their own local living expenses standards. For example, for Broward County in Florida, the total allowable living expenses standard is 1,780 for 2020. But in Clay County, Florida, the amount is $1,405. For Los Angeles in California, a four-member household would be allowed $3,222 for allowable living expenses nationals and locals based on local standard. But in Lake County, California, it would be $2,162. So you can see that you have the national allowable living standard expense standard, and then you have the local, it based local, and things in that nature. And also there may be also like city that have their own local standard if there would be some kind of program to deal with the city and so forth. And here you can see the link for the national living expenses standard. You can take a note of that if you want to check it out yourself and would like to get some information and dive in deeper into learning about the national living expenses standard. And if you are being collected, if you are receiving collections letter notices from the IRS and you want to know whether you should be qualified or be eligible for currently not eligible status, then you would go to the national living expense standard and local living expense standard and see what are the category for these expenses, what you fall into, to see if you are eligible for the currently not collectible status. Hardship, currently not collectible status. What type of hardship may be considered currently not collectible status? Okay, so basically, according to IRM, Internal Revenue Manual, you can also look for that Internal Revenue Manual on the IRS website, or you can also Google it. Just type Internal Revenue Manual, and you can look for any specific title or subject you would like to get information from. So Section 5.16.1.2.9, as of September 18, 2018, as far as it is related to hardship, follow the procedure in IIM 5.15.1, which is Financial Analysis Handbook, to determine the correct resolution of your specific tax situation. Okay, based on the uh, based on your asset and equity, income and expenses. A hardship exists if a taxpayer is unable to pay reasonable basic living expenses that we just discussed. So in other words, if you fall into those categories of the basic living expenses for housing, for clothing, for uh, for miscellaneous items, if you fall into those within these frame line, then you know for sure that you may be eligible for currently not eligible status, because under these living expenses, a taxpayer is declared to be unable to pay reasonable basic living expenses. The basic for a hardship determination is from information about the taxpayer financial condition. Okay, provided on form, basically the form that is used to submit to the IRS is Form 433-A, collection information statement for wages, for wage earners and self-employed individuals, or Form 433B, collection information statement for business. A business also may fall into the category of currently not collectible status, but that business must file Form 433B. Now, generally, these cases involve no income or asset, no equity in asset, or insufficient income to make any payment without causing hardship. If your situation is not causing a hardship, then you don't fall into that category. But if your situation cause hardship on you, financial hardship, you are not you are your electricity is being turned off, your water is being cut off, and things like that, you are unable to buy the basic necessity of life for your family, then if you can prove that, you definitely would be eligible for currently not eligible, not currently not collectible status. But again, as I explained before, it is at the discretion of the IRS. Okay, so an amount should not be reported as an account should not be reported as currently not collectible if the taxpayer has income or equity in assets. So in other words, if you are determined to have equity in assets, bank account with substantial amount of liquidated funds and other liquidated asset that you can liquidate, sell to generate income or money. So it says that basically your account should not be reported as currently not collectible because you have income or equity in assets, and enforced collection of income or asset would not cause. And then also, if enforcing collection of the income or asset, in other words, putting a lien and then levy the asset to transfer it to the government, if this would not cause a hardship to satisfy the tax debt, then you don't fall into the category of non-collectible status. Hardship account are closed using different code. For example, for this category would be CC 24 through 32. And then in that manual, you will see, visit the exhibit 5.16.1.2. Mandatory follow-up may be appropriate for certain hardship. So basically, there's certain hardship according to IRM Internal Revenue Manual Section 5.16.1.6. So mandatory follow-up may be uh, appropriate for certain cases. Like if your account is placed on currently not collectible status, there would be mandatory follow-up to and to check to see if you are still in that category, if the financial hardship still exists, whether collection activities should be resumed. With an IRS CNC determination, what do you expect? Okay, if you have been determined, if your tax debt have been determined to be not currently collectible, what to expect? Under the IRS CNC, you should not worry about your wages being garnished. If you are already on the CNC, currently not collectible status, you should not worry about your wages being garnished. Okay, you should expect all collection activities to suspend if you are under currently not collectible status until that status is removed. Okay, and then you will not receive collection letters demanding you to pay the tax debt if you are currently under currently not collectible status. Your tax delinquency would not be reported to the credit bureau, to the credit reporting agencies during the period that your tax is being deferred. So now, there's one thing I want you to understand. Um, Deferment. This is okay. Basically, currently not collectible status is that your tax debt is placed into a deferment status. It's not a waiver of tax debt. It just paused. Collection activities simply pause. You still owe the debt. Interest are still being accrued. And if you have a refund on your tax return the next year, that refund will be applied against the tax debt. You will not receive a refund while you are currently not collectible status because, in fact, you still owe the government tax. So CNC is not a tax debt forgiveness. You still owe the debt. And interest will accrue, and if you file a tax return and there is a refund due to you, the amount will be applied against your tax debt. In addition, the IRS will monitor your tax filing to see if your income increased, to consider whether if a tax debt collection should resume, or any other means necessary they have in place to revisit to ensure that your income or you whether you should still be under that status being currently not collectible. Okay, how long does it take when you are on a currently not collectible status? If your tax debt is currently on a non-collectible status, how long does it take in that status? Now, a taxpayer would be in a currently not collectible status until the IRS determine that your financial situation has improved, and now that there's factual evidence that you may be able to pay the tax debt. If at this point in time you have not been making voluntary payment to offset the interest that have been accruing, and you have not been contacting the IRS, at least try to resolve the tax debt voluntarily through an offering compromise or a payment plan and the like in like manner and related to that. So in that case, um, in that case, the IRS has the responsibility, the obligations to monitor, to ensure that whether you should be continue being in that status, because their job is to collect the tax debt, because they have only 10 years to collect the tax debt. Okay, after that period the statute of limitation to collect the tax debt expires. and the IRS cannot try to collect that tax again after 10 years unless unless there is evidence that the tax debt was a result of tax evasion or tax crime or fraud. Okay, being in a CNC does not extend the statute of limitation. Okay, but if it is proven that your tax debt was the result of tax fraud or evasion, tax limitation, that tax collection, the statute of limitation may be extended to an indefinite period of time because you committed fraud. But if you are in compliance with the tax laws, you did not commit any crime, you did not commit any fraud, after 10 years, if the tax debt is not collected, the IRS is required to let it go. Of course, depends on some certain circumstances. Okay, how do you apply for CNC status for your tax debt? If you have a tax debt, you might ask yourself, how do I apply to see if I'm eligible for currently not collectible status? Well, for currently not collectible status of your tax debt, you must provide the IRS a complete picture of your finance to enable them to determine, properly determine, legally determine if you are eligible for uh, currently not collectible status. First, you must make sure that you are in compliance with all previous tax filing requirements, which means that you cannot have a tax that you did not file. You have to meet all the requirement for filing of your taxes in order to be considered. That's one requirement. You must be in compliance with all previous year's tax filing requirement. Even if you are unable to pay a balance due, it is to your advantage to file your tax. If you file your tax, you are able to claim verifiable and legitimate expenses, deductions, and credit. However, if you don't file, the IRS will assess your taxes and the amount you will owe will be higher, will be way higher than if you would have to file yourself. Because when you are certain, when you file yourself, um, because certain expense and deduction are not, you are not, the IRS are not aware of. So they would not just decided to just give you deductions or business expenses that they're not aware of, or child tax credit and things like that, or earned income credit. You will not receive those if the IRS assess your tax because for non-filing, for non-filer tax assessment. So basically, it is to your advantage whether you're going to owe the IRS or not to file your taxes so that you can be in compliance. So that is the first mandate, the first requirement for currently to be eligible for currently not collectible status. You have to be in compliance with your tax filing. To apply for CNC, you will need all corroborations of income, documents of income, and living expenses, all assets, including the cost basis and market value. At least 3 to 6 months of bank statement to make your case, to prove that really within the last 6 months, this is how much I receive and this is how much it costs to me to provide the basic necessities, the basic needs of my family. Okay, proof of housing and how much you pay for your housing, whether you are renting or you own a house, how much you are paying on the mortgage, out of pocket expenses, acceptable out of pocket expenses for medical. Per se, you cannot go do a surgery to improve your outlook just to make yourself look good, or per se you went to do a surgery and to lift your nose or whatever it may be, or breast implant. This is not acceptable medical expenses for CNC. But if it is a surgery to save, to preserve your life, okay, if, to preserve your life, it was a life threatening, something was threatening your life, and you did the surgery, and then that surgery to preserve your life, to save yourself from dying, cause of financial hardship and enabling you not able to work, or you whatever may be, not able to pay your tax debt, there is a potential at the IRS discretion that they may honor a request for currently not collectible status. You will need to file form, like I explained before, form 433A, collection information statement for wages for wage earners and self-employed individual, or form 433B, collection information statement for business. Okay. Okay, basically that's it. Should you have any questions, or you have a need to see if you qualify for currently not collectible status, you want to put a temporary hold on the IRS from collecting, from their attempt to collect tax debt, and if you have a legitimate reason why you are requesting that status, again, remember, very important, being under collect non-collectible status, you are still obligated to pay the tax debt. You still owe the tax debt. It is not a waiver. It is not a tax debt forgiveness. You are just given a temporary stay where all collection activities stop. However, interest will continue added to your account, to the account, and that can potentially make it harder later on to pay. So you have to consider that when you apply for currently not collectible status. Okay, whether you want, depend on the amount, whether you want another 200 or 500 or even in the thousands of dollars added to your tax account every month. Perhaps if you don't want a currently not collectible status, you can work out a payment plan instead. Okay, even though the interest will continue added to your account. So be aware of that. And if you file a tax return the next year and you have a refund, the refund will be applied against your tax debt. You will not receive that refund. Any liquid asset that fall into the hands of the IRS on the taxpayers, on taxpayers who owes them money, you will not see a dime of that asset unless there's certain situation or circumstance per se where there is an injured spouse or innocent spouse and thing like that, and the other spouse did not owe the IRS and the debt were incurred by the other spouse. Maybe the other spouse, one of the spouse, can file innocent spouse status request, or uh, to get a share of the refund. Otherwise, the liquid asset will be applied toward your tax debt. Um, so that's it for our presentation today. If you need help with a tax issue, call us at 904 204 7724 or visit us at www.jdmtaxconsulting.com. On our website, you will find a lot of information, and also you can submit an inquiry directly to us, or you can email us at taxhelp@jdmtaxconsulting.com. Again, thank you very much for watching. If this was helpful, please click like and also share this with your friends. The end of our presentation today, and see you next time. We'll continue bring you some subject that I think that may be beneficial to you. Again, when you need to file your taxes, or you need help with whatever tax issue you have with the IRS, and my name is Dominique Michel. and I am authorized to represent taxpayer throughout the U.S., not just Florida, in all states, whether whatever state you resides, I can represent you before the IRS under the annual agent status, my agent annual agent designation. So I am authorized to represent you before the IRS. So feel free. I'm not just a tax preparer. If whatever the problem you have with the IRS, feel free to reach out. Feel free to reach out, and I will let you know if I can help you or not. If I cannot help you, I will refer you to other professionals in my sphere of influence to help you. Thank you. Hope you like this broadcast and share, like. Thank you. See you next time. Bye bye.